Thank you, DJ Harley, for some amazing music to start this event. I think is very appropriate for this amazing event that we have scheduled. Thank you all for joining us. For anyone that is experiencing the Monarch Academy experience for the first time, we welcome you. For our current families and our current community, welcome again tonight. We thank you for joining us. We have a very, very, very special event to close out Black History Month. I will let everyone know that this event is recorded. So please make sure that your mics are off during the event. And without further ado, I'll pass it to our amazing school counselor, Miss Nikki Johnson.
All righty, boys and girls, community members, families. I see family members and moms and dads and grandmoms on the screen. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. We are super excited to have you, okay? So I want to introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Nikki Johnson, and I have the pleasure of serving as the school counselor here at Monarch Academy, Annapolis. And I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the I Am series. So we actually started the I Am series through our Diversity in Action Committee to celebrate Black History Month. And we launched our series with a tribute to the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. So many of you probably got a chance to watch that because we did a live stream of that as well. And then we moved into weekly videos from students and staff members that highlighted amazing figures such as Angela Davis, Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin, and our own Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, and many more. And it was a time for our students to connect with prominent African American figures in history, okay, present and past. And from that connection, we wanted our students to look through the lens of greatness and basically look at themselves. Think about what they could be, what qualities were inside of them that they could bring to this world to make our world an even better place. So we are super, super excited tonight to further our discussion, to further that connection with a real life discussion with Mr. Rashad Jennings. So he is an NFL superstar, Dancing with the Stars winner. I probably need a few dance moves from him. And then also a New York Times best-selling author. And Miss Johnson even has the book right here, okay? So we are super, super excited. But I have a challenge for all of our boys and girls on the screen first, all right? You guys need to grab like a piece of paper, pencil, notebook, something from your school supplies for virtual learning, right? When you get back to the screen with your pencil and your paper, notebook, or journal, I need you to start really thinking about some of the things you hear tonight. I want you to write it down. If you hear a word, if you hear a phrase, if you hear a situation, if you hear something that Mr. Jennings shares, or even something that makes you think of something else, write it down if it's positive. I want you to be able to refer back to the things that you write down as you continue to move through life. Sometimes we all need encouragement, and that encouragement can come from our moms and our dads, grandmoms, grandpops, and teachers and counselors. But guess what? Sometimes we just need our own little book of encouragement, something that we can go back to and say, you know what? Today was a rough day. Today didn't go too well for me, but I'm encouraged because I remember somebody said this, or I remember that I'm a great person, I have purpose, or I remember that there are great things about who I am and who I am going to become in the world we live in. So grab that paper, grab that notebook, pencil, pen, crayon, it doesn't matter, and write down some special things that you hear. Temi, I see you on my screen. You have your notebook and paper, and I am super proud of you. So I know that there are many other scholars who went to grab that notebook and paper as well. All right, Ms. Ratasha, let's jump into a video clip really quickly.
Sorry, everybody. My music is still going. I was vibing over here. Give me 1 second. Turn the music off. Okay, where is it? Okay. Sorry about that. Okay.
Hey, let's have some fun today, baby. There's a fine difference between living and being alive. Today don't live, be alive out there today, baby. Hey, let's play this game like it ain't mandatory. Let's play this game like we love it. Let's get this win. Yes, win on baby. 3. 1, 2, 3.
The Jacksonville Jaguars select
Jennings, second effort, puts up a first down and more. Down the sidelines. Rashad Jennings still on his feet, and he takes it all the way in for a Giants touchdown. 51 yards.
Jennings, straight up the middle. Jennings breaks a tackle. Touchdown.
Left for Jennings, runs out of a tackle on the left sideline to the 40. Jennings high steps to the 30, 25-20, and then he's hit, shakes off a tackle, and is in for the touchdown. Hand off Jennings, he runs right, goes in, standing up, touchdown Giants. Give for Jennings, off the left side, he's got a first down and more. Jennings to the 20, to the 15, 10, 5, touchdown Giants. 37 yards for Rashad Jennings.
Still will, the heart of the champion.
All righty. Well, we would like to introduce to some and present to others Mr. Rashad
Hey, let's have
Jennings.
some fun today, baby.
Hey, how y'all doing? I appreciate you having me on. And seeing that, really, I got lost in watching that clip. Reminds me sometimes I actually do miss playing football. But I appreciate you guys having me on for a moment.
All right, Mr. Jennings. Well, we are going to jump right into our discussion. So before we did a little planning meeting, guys, last week and kind of talked about what direction we wanted to take and what information we wanted to present and how we wanted to present it. So you guys understand as students, okay, that we all learn in different ways. Some people are auditory learners. So when they hear information, they retain it here in their brain and in their heart. But guess what? Some people are visual learners. When they see something, it helps them to think of something and it kind of puts that information back in their brain and back in their heart. So Miss Johnson's a visual learner. I like to see things, okay? So I asked Mr. Jennings to provide some pictures, all right? And to speak from some of the pictures. So I'm hoping that my auditory learners can listen to the information and retain it. And my visual learners can see the picture and think, that information that was shared. And then don't forget to write it in your journal, okay? So Miss Ratasha, can you show us the first picture? So there's a quote that says, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And I saw Mr. Jennings shake his head like, uh-oh. So I'm curious, if you look at this picture, Mr. Jennings, what's your story?
Well, looking at that picture, I think that kid's story is eating some cheeseburgers, some cookies, some Sprites, and all kind of good stuff. But that's me. For anybody that doesn't know, that picture is me when I was in middle school. And I like to start off by telling everybody, I'm from Forest, Virginia. It's a very small country town. It's self-explanatory, Forest, Virginia. I grew up around more animals and understanding animals before I really could ever understand people. And I'm still trying to figure out people. So if y'all know before me, please share the wisdom. I grew up a very overweight, chubby kid. Glasses. There's the glasses over there, the red rim glasses. If you zoom in close enough, I had a 0.6 GPA at one point in time, asthmatic kid that dealt with acne, bullying, a reading comprehension deficit, a lot of things that would say that this kid doesn't have the golden ticket, the golden opportunity, a red carpet in front of him to be successful in any way that he deems success. And being that all of that is very true, looking at that picture, seeing where I come from, seeing where I was, it very much reminds me and inspires me that any and everybody can change. Any and everybody can become successful in whatever they decide to do if they're willing to make the sacrifices, if they're willing to make the commitment, if they're willing to be goal oriented, if they're willing to put in effortless amounts of work. So when you say this picture is worth 1,000 words, um, this picture's actually helped me write words in books. This picture, looking back at it, has been a compass for me to find myself in the position I found myself today as a reminder to stay humble, to as a reminder to me that dreams still do come true for those that work diligently and hard enough, um, and that it's a reminder that if you have a great support system, then the sky truly is and can be the limit. And so, with that being said, that's a piece and an easy segue into beginning to unpack the mystery of this picture.
I have a question just for you. You mentioned just now about identifying a support system. So I talk to our students a lot as a school counselor, and I know their teachers talk to them and parents talk to them as well, about identifying trusted adults, people that you can go to when things are rough, even when things are great. People you can share your rainbow moments with, but people you can also share your storm moments with. If you could identify some of your support systems, who were some of your support systems when you were growing up?
I appreciate that question, Ms. Johnson, for several reasons. I think it is important to identify who you can trust. Growing up, my family was somebody that I was able to trust. I was able to trust my mother. I still trust her with everything today. I was able to trust my brothers. I had two older brothers that I was able to look up to. And when I say I trust them, I'm not meaning that I could tell them any and everything without believing I would be judged. When I say I trust them, I mean that the way they live their life, I could attempt to mimic, and that would earn me success. That's what I trusted. And I saw for the first time, from the Jennings name, my brother was the first to go to college. My second brother was the second to go to college. And so when I looked at them, what I trusted was that I could, if if I was willing to make the sacrifices and do all the diligent work, that is obtainable. And so these are some of the people that I trusted. I also have some heroes that I've trusted along the way that are historical, monumental individuals that we often celebrate during Black History Month, and not just during this month, but just in American history itself, are very iconic. And Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King and Phyllis Wheatley, just to name a few. But my family, I was very fortunate enough to not have to look too far from the home to find some heroes and those that lived every single day full-heartedly, to be the best of them. Even in my neighbors, I was fortunate enough to see some neighbors live a wholesome life, and that was inspiring to me. I really wasn't a kid that was inspired by monetary things. I wasn't a kid that was inspired by superficial things like big Lamborghinis or the oversized house. Those didn't inspire me. What inspired me was seeing true joy and happiness in people that diligently was able to work hard.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. So, boys and girls, hopefully you heard all of that clearly. Think about who inspires you. Who is your real life hero? Is that somebody that's sitting right next to you tonight? Is that somebody at your church, in Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts? Is that somebody on the lacrosse team or the football team? Think about writing down who inspires you. Who are your real life heroes, people that you can look up to? So we're going to move on to the next slide, Miss Ratasha. And you guys heard Mr. Jennings mention some very prominent African American figures in history. And remember, this is our culminating series for celebrating or honoring Black History Month. So let's start with the first one he mentioned, Phillis Wheatley, who was the very first Black published poet. Okay. And the quote that I'm actually going to read is a direct quote from Mr. Jennings. It says, God made humanity in his image and likeness. That puts all of us on a field that is infinitely above all labels and prejudice. When we start from there, greatness is the minimum and the sky is the limit. So, my question to you, based on your quote and also the quote from Phillis Wheatley, is what is greatness to you? And can you give examples of greatness in your life?
Yes, and I appreciate, her. Phyllis is a tremendous person who, in history, her story isn't told a lot. In 1776, she wrote a first published book by a African American in America, and it was during a time where slavery and segregation was prominent. And it's not like today, and she did it during an era where education was illegal for minorities, and she was so farly advanced. And her name is Phyllis Wheatley because the boat that she came over on, the name of the boat was Phyllis, and the white family that took her in were the Wheatleys, and so she's known as Phyllis Wheatley. That family took her in and educated her, allowed her to read, and fortitude to her a great opportunity to speak to the world because she had an opportunity. And greatness to me is really the minimal. The reason why greatness is the minimal is because I know who I am. I'm God's child. And so I'm already separate. And for me, I personally, believe part of greatness is your choices, right? I'm a big believer in choice. We all have choices on a daily basis, and we can choose to be great, or we can choose not to, right? To explain, especially for kids, that to prove to you, you have choice every day. Maybe you wake up and you decide, am I going to brush my teeth today or am I not? Maybe your parents make you, maybe they don't. It's your choice if you're going to do it. Maybe your shoes are untied and you're walking down the school hallway. It's your choice whether you tie them or not. You have homework that you have to do. It's your choice if you do it on your own or if somebody has to remind you to do it. See, these things are your choices, and your choices lend you an outcome. Maybe if you don't decide to choose to tie your shoes, maybe you trip and fall. Maybe you trip and fall and hurt yourself. Where did that come from? Is it the floor's fault? or is it you for not making the proper choices to put yourself in a better position? Right. And so greatness is, to me, recognizing that that is the minimum to do what is right. The sky is the limit when you have a minimum of greatness. And there are so many stories that are very humbling and motivating, and some pretty and some ugly, of individuals that have decided, I will take choice, I will hold myself responsible, I will hold myself accountable. And they look back and they are regarded with more success than not because of a choice. And that's part of being great, is as you grow up, to recognize your choice. And kids, I really challenge you, someday, just for fun, take out a piece of paper. Just take out a piece of paper, and for one day, maybe it's a Saturday when you're not in school, or maybe it's fresh on Sunday morning or Friday night. Write down every choice that you made that day, and that will remind you. What that will do is remind you how powerful you are as an individual. God created you. He's giving you the ability to retain information, the ability to make it applicable, to do. And these are our choices, what we do with them. And that is a measure of what makes people great, is making better choices and being responsible for them.
All righty, boys and girls, you heard it. I wrote it in the chat for a reminder. Part of greatness is your choice. So write it down. Think about those choices that you guys are making. Thank you so much, Mr. Jennings. Miss Ratasha, sorry, we could move to the next slide. So Malcolm X, the great civil rights activist, said, "A man who stands for nothing falls for anything." And this is another direct quote from you, Mr. Jennings, that says, "When he finally fell in death, he stood taller than ever because he lived and died for his cause. In living for things worth dying for, we extend our life infinitely beyond our last breath." So, my question related to this slide is simply this: what do you stand for?
I stand for so much. And to answer, because I want to answer your question directly, what are some of the things I stand for? Um, One thing I do stand for is living out my best life. And then I have to define that. I stand for family. I stand for allowing people to feel and benefit from my loyalty. And my loyalty is not to a human being on this earth. I'm loyal to no man. My loyalty is to God, and you benefit from that. I stand for being a man that's consistently growing and willing to admit errors and find my own hypocrisies. I think that is something that I stand for, and I challenge a lot of people to recognize within themselves that you want to. One of my mottos is to everybody that I encounter with should be better off having met me in life than not. Every person that I come across should be able to walk away and say, I am better off in life that I met that person than not. And that's applicable all over the place, right? Yeah, a simple example for kids, if you walk inside of a classroom, right, how you treat your fellow members, how you treat your friends, how you treat your teachers, when they walk out of the classroom, they should feel, you know what? I'm better off that I saw them today. My conversation with them, my challenges from them, my love from them, I'm better off having met them than not. And I also stand for pulling the best out of every single individual. Now, you have to define what the best is, right? And the only way you can get the best out of somebody is starting off with the minimal of greatness. And that's about having somebody recognize responsibility for their own choices. And it's not always easy. But those are some of the things that I stand for. I stand for family. I stand for justice. Um, I stand for equality. I stand for athleticism. I stand for dancing. I stand for love. I stand for joy. I stand for so many things. But all that I do, I try to do everything excellent. There's one quote that I don't live by, but it's written in such a way that if somebody were forced to watch my life and they had to take notes on it, it would inspire them to say these words. And that is, the master in art of living shows little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his love and his religion. He just simply pursues everything he does with excellence, leaving others to decide, is this guy working or is he playing? But to him, he is always doing both. That is what I stand for. And I also stand for leaving a life for others to follow.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jennings. I'm hoping that the quote that you just stated, if later on before we leave, you could actually type it in the chat for our students, for our scholars to be able to write it down, or if Ms. Ratasha or Mr. Turner would be able to repeat that, that would be wonderful. So I was thinking about one thing. So I liked how you said when people come in contact with you, your hope is that they walk away feeling like they are better just because they've had the interaction with you, that you basically seeded something positive into a person's life. So I know that I talk with my own daughters, I talk with, my nieces and nephews and friends, children, and even our students on the screen. And I realize that sometimes kids are very hard on themselves when they make a mistake, when they don't do something correctly. And it's almost like it's the end of the world. So I wanted you to kind of speak to this. Are there times, even still, as an adult, that maybe you just didn't get it right that day? Maybe when you walked away, you had to think to yourself, oh my goodness, maybe I wasn't my best self. And then what advice do you have for that? Like, about being hard on yourself, I guess I would say, because I've had that discussion several times with several of our students about giving yourself some grace as a person.
Yes, ma'am, Miss Johnson. That's a great point you bring up. I fail often. I'm gonna let you guys know that now. I fail often because I attempt often. I'm not afraid to fail. So now I never fail by choice, and I do try to erase as many marks as I possibly can when I attempt again. You know, I'm not trying to force my issue. I try new routes. But for kids, listen, and everybody, anybody, you're gonna fail. All right. But that's where faith kicks into play. I actually talked about before the first three letters of faith are shared with the first three letters of failure, and really breaking down why. But for myself, if you attempt nothing, you accomplish nothing. Don't be afraid to fail. All right. Don't be a perfectionist to the point where you don't attempt. See, because there's a misnomer with this idea of what perfection is. Perfection is complete. Okay. Take take for example, just to get people's brain churning. If I ask what is perfect vision, most people would say 2020. That's perfect vision. So then I would ask, can you get better than anything that's perfect? The answer would be no. Okay. You can get better than 2020 vision. Therefore, 2020 vision, maybe it ain't perfect. It's the idea that you have of perfect. Anything perfect means completion. And I challenged everybody to remind themselves you're not completed until God takes us home. So while we still breathe breath, remember you are part of perfecting. If you spell the word perfect, it's PERFECT. If you spell the word perfect, PERFECT, spelled the exact same way, two different meanings. Perfect versus perfect. I'm perfecting life, meaning I must attempt and I know I'm not done. So I challenge you guys, whenever you find yourself attempting to accomplish something and you fail, ask yourself, why did I fail? Okay, because it's good to know, it's wise to know. And now you have a better structure on an attitude as well, how to fix it next time. Now, if you fail again, it just keeps getting better. That's called perfecting. So I challenge anybody, especially adults, even as we teach kids, don't get frustrated. It's perfecting. We're always perfecting. And so, kids, challenge yourself along while you write down your choices, right? As I'm challenging you to write down just every choice that you feel that you made that day, whether it's I made a choice to walk up the steps. If you feel that was a choice, write it down. And then under that, ask yourself, what am I perfecting? What is it that I'm trying to do? And these things will start to speak to you more and more and more.
Thank you so much for that. All right, boys and girls, that's your challenge. You guys have to stick with it, okay? We are working through this to become the great people that you were purposed to be on the face of this earth, okay? And know that those challenges are part of your growth, all right? So, Miss Ratasha, can we move into our last quote? All right, so this is again a direct quote from you, Mr. Jennings. How can I have more freedom than he ever had, but do less than he ever did, and yet complain more than he ever dreamed, in reference to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So, my question is, when thinking about dreams, speak to those accomplished and also to those yet to come.
Yes, ma'am. And that is a quote that I created just by the influence of watching Dr. Martin Luther King live out his life. And I find myself often ready to complain about something that I'm not receiving or that is not manifested in front of me yet. And I compare myself to the freedoms that Dr. Martin Luther King had, and even before his era. And I look at all the successes that in accomplishments they have made in a more difficult climate than myself. And yet I still see myself complaining more than they ever did. I think that for myself, it's always been an issue with me. I try my hardest not to complain. I hear the issues and struggles. And then as a football player, we try to find a way to accomplish the play, even though there's a defense there to try to stop us, right? We still try to score a touchdown, even though there's 11 people in front of us trying to stop us. And I look at life as that way. There are obstacles in life. I'm okay with identifying them. I am not okay with using it as an excuse. Now, for myself, you know, I say that quote also because I recognize that the ground that I am walking on was paved before I was here. The ground that I'm walking on today was paved before I was here. And the ground that another generation will walk on will be paved before they get here. In the next, and the next. And so for me, taking again the ownership and choice, right, to perfect my craft is setting the stage for the next generation to walk on their path. And the human nature is a very good indicator to see into a crystal ball. And human nature has a lot of failures. And so if humans don't attempt any good, we will all destroy ourselves. It is you must take effort to do good, because left alone, we by nature are willing to corrupt, and not only others, but unfortunately ourselves first. And so with Dr. Martin Luther King, I honestly, and all historians that walked before me in decades and centuries ago, I really pay them the most respect of fighting for our freedoms, um, pushing the envelope of truly who God is, and intended how to read Scripture. Yeah, and I feel like I honor them only if I continue to move forward, just like my brother was the first to go to college. And so I honor them by not going just to college, but getting a doctorate degree. And then the next generation, that my family's family, they are going to feel like, okay, college is just the minimum, which greatness is just the minimum. And so as you set the bar higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, the minimum then changes. The minimum wages changes. And so that's how we live life. And through studying Black culture, Black history, they have raised the bar too high for me to set inside of complaints with all the freedoms and access we have, and the brilliancy that sets in us, and the natural ability from athleticism to networking, to arts and craft that just ooze out of us. I would be a fool not to find ways to maximize that.
Thank you for sharing that. I was just thinking about I'll go back to something that you said. You talked about how generations before us pave our ways. So, right now, there's a generation of people that are paving a way for many of our young scholars who are present on the screen. I think that you're one of those people who's basically laying that groundwork for people. And it's something that I'm not sure that you mentioned really in depth, but your books. Can you share a little bit about that? Because I do feel like that is something that you are laying a foundation for our children. I know that you were present at our school last year, I believe it was, or was it the year before? Last year? Was it last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It was last year.
Last year. Okay. And I know that you shared several copies of your book with many of our students. And again, I got my copy in the mail yesterday. So just speak to your books, please, if you could, especially for some of the students or children that are on the screen that don't currently have a copy that might be interested in reading it. And then, you know, how they could get a copy. And then maybe just a little bit about what your books are about.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. Well, this I'll show you this first. This is the if in life, the if in life, and I don't know if you can see that well or not, but the if in life, and it's a play on words because when you spell out the word life, if is in the middle, right? The if in life. So I went through 15 chapters in here, um, overlooking and casting my entire life up to date as I wrote it, and capturing the biggest if moments in my life. If I didn't have the relationship with my father, where would I be? If I didn't have God in my life, where would I be? If I didn't respond to racism in a right manner, or I wouldn't even say right, but the way I did it. If there's so many if moments in life, and the point was to inspire a reader to find their own major moments, because we all have them, and it's cool if you put them and collage them together and kind of see the makeup of why we think the way we do. And it became a New York Times bestseller. So just a humble brag here. I know people like music, right? So imagine a new artist dropping a song for the first time and it goes platinum. That's what I did. I've made New York Times bestselling author from the first book I ever wrote. So that's just a humble little brag I'm gonna put out there. And I know people understand music and how if somebody makes a hit. So hopefully that'll make somebody want to go listen to the music that's written in that book. But then it inspired me to continue to write, which I have a series with R.K. Livingston and the Triple T Token, Coin Slot Chronicles. This is the first of 4. It's a 4-book series. It's a 4-book series that is actually, I just partnered with Walmart. Walmart and every store else that sold, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Amazon. You can type in my name, Rashad Jennings Books, and every book I ever written will pop up. Now this is a fun one to me. The reason why I wrote this again, guys, is because I grew up with a reading comprehension deficit. And I grew up with a reading comprehension deficit. I was bullied and I was behind academically a whole lot. And so you take this kid, again, struggled academically, a 0.6, reading comprehension deficit, asthma, 5th string running back, that then goes to the NFL, plays 8 years, New York Times best-selling author, Dance with the Stars champ, a commencement speaker, so many accolades underneath. I look back at my own life and I wonder sometimes how it happened. But one of the things I did ask God always to do in my life is to do things that I personally can't even take credit for myself. That's a prayer that I've always had and will continue, because it doesn't make too much sense without him. But this book, guys, if you enjoy reading, please pick it up. There also for teachers. There's a reading. We wrote a teacher's syllabus with it, so you can put it in your classrooms. And if your students decide to read it, I do a big Zoom call at the end of the semester, and we discuss the book together. I think it's really cool to see the author and talk to him about why he wrote a certain character a particular way. These also wrote Arcade himself, because that's just a cool name, and that I always thought my parents should have named me. But R.K. Livingston is the main character, and I wanted to have a Black child that kids could inspire to look up to. Growing up, I didn't like reading, 1. 2, I never saw anything that was resembled me, so why do I want to take part into it? I didn't know that reading was important anyway, much less why would I read something that don't even look like me or anything like me. So I wrote it in a perspective that's relatable specifically for young Black males to become addicted to reading. Now there is an addiction inside of potato chips that's scientifically proven. The amount of carbohydrates, the amount of sodium, and the amount of fats culminated together actually create an addictive taste that release endorphins that makes us not have just one. That's not a joke, that you can't just have one. Go eat one potato chip and watch your neurons like, I gotta have another one. There is science to that. So what I've done, I've tried to put together a science that makes reading addictive for young males because it's difficult. And so this is a part of my philanthropic work as well. But about the book is just very simple and quick. About the book is R.K. Livingston's a young child with a beautiful sister named Zoe Livingston. So girls, you're gonna love Zoe. She's a powerhouse. She's brilliant, smart, always in control, very lovable and trustworthy, the smart one. All right. And the boy, he is very rambunctious, quirky, love learning, find himself in mischievous stuff, but never anything that's harmfully lawfully. And they travel to find the truths of life together. And it's a very fun read, and I really encourage and hope you guys read it. And lastly, real quick, if you don't mind, I'll tell a quick story that happened to me when I was in school. And this is it's a good challenge, especially for teachers. We had to write one day while I was in middle school, we had to write a book. No, I was in high school. Let me check. Go back. I was in high school. We had to write, and for English paper about our hero, we had to write an essay to write about any hero. I decided to write about Dr. Martin Luther King. So get this. This is funny. Full circle. I got a chance to write about Dr. Martin Luther King. Remember, I had a 0.6. So we had to put it in CLA format. We had to cite all our sources, yada, yada, yada. So I went to the high school library, and then I started reading some books, and I was trying to find some quotes about Dr. Martin Luther King to say what I wanted to say, right? Because I can't quote myself. So I couldn't find any books to say what I was thinking. So I got the big, bright idea to quote myself. So I wrote about Dr. Martin Luther King. I quoted myself. And at the end, I put the sources was Rashad Jennings' mind. That was my source, I guess. I didn't know. So I turned it in. And long story short, I get the paper back, and I get a big fat F, right? And so I go up to my teacher, a young student, go up to my teacher. I'm like, hey, with big old glasses, why'd I get an F? And she looked at me, very sweet, and she said, well, Rashad, you quoted yourself. And I said, yes, ma'am, is what I said true? She said, yes. I said, well, is what I said kind of relevant to the paper? She said, yes. I said, so why'd I get F? And she said, because you're not a credible source, right? I was like, so wait a second. You're telling me that I have to go do something in this world to be successful, right? 20 years from now, just to be able to come back and say the same thing? And she kind of like gave me the, get out of here, Rashad. You're always doing too much type of thing. Here's the quote. How can I have more freedom than he ever had, but do less than he ever did, and yet complain more than he ever dreamed? Now that is quotable, right? The same thing. So fast forward, I go back to that same high school. I go back to that same teacher, and I throw an article on the desk because I went to a high school and was doing some public speaking things, and they had to do a research paper on professional athletes. They brought me in, I spoke, the students are writing things down in quote of what I'm saying. They turn it in, they get an A. So I asked for the teacher, every A paper that you have that used one of my quotes, please give me a copy. I went back to the high school teacher and showed her that now I'm a credible source. Now can I say the thing that's still true? So I say that because that was a little arrogant of me to do. Yes. But it's a reminder for teachers that if you have a student that you see greatness in, please continue, because I know you are, find ways to help him channel that the right way. Greatness is in all of us, right? Anger is a beautiful thing as well. I love anger because that's what helped me in life. Fortunately, anger is a fuel that is strong and it sets right here. But if I can insert that and channel it the right way, oh man, the things you can do. And so I challenge teachers and everybody that's surrounding kids. If you find a child that has potential, encourage it. If you find a kid that's angry,
Ever say
bottle,
something about turning your camera off?
bottle that for them and teach them how to use it the correct way. Because I fortunately had somebody along the way catch me, right, and hem me up before I could channel my anger the wrong way.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for also just sharing nuggets of information, not just for our scholars or our students that are on, but also for our teachers. I saw in the chat where I think it was Miss Snap, one of our kindergarten teachers, had wrote, thank you for that. It's really, something you said was very timely for teachers. We know as parents that are on the line, as educators that are on the call right now, it's a tough time for us as teachers as well. It's a tough time for educators and with all the virtual learning and things like that. So we need reminders too. So thank you for just the reminder of looking at our students, making sure that we are looking for those types of great things and we're not getting too caught up in the anxiety and the things that we're dealing with from day to day in the times that we're living. So as an educator and on behalf of all the teachers that I think are on here, I think they would agree with me that we appreciate that nugget of knowledge as well. All right, Ms. Ratasha, I think we're going to move into probably one of the most important slides. Monarch students want to know. So first, I want to just thank the following students and classes. I said I was going to call their name out, Mr. Jennings. They so they could be recognized. I couldn't, of course, give you all the questions. We'd be here all night, but I wanted to just thank Ms. Costello's 4th grade, Ms. Olson's 4th grade, Ms. Conley's e-school class, and also Ms. McBride's kindergarten class. They did submit questions for tonight, but I did pull 2 pretty good questions I wanted to see if you would address. So the first one, and this comes directly from our scholars, is what is your biggest fear? And then what strategies do you use when you are faced with your fears?
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a very fair question. I do have a couple fears in life, and honestly, one of my fears is to pass away and not done everything I could to set the legacy for my family. That's a fear of mine. And one of the reasons why it's a fear of mine is a good, healthy fear now. It's not a bad, terrifying fear. It's a good fear. And I have that because I go back to greatness and my responsibility to choice. And I wonder if, because I'm so because it means so much to me, that am I overdoing it? And so for kids, I would say that, you relate that to trying to, if you play an instrument, right? If you can sing a little bit, right? And you're offered an opportunity to sing on the choir or sing at a play, and you can sing, but you're afraid that you won't sing like Mariah Carey, so I don't even want to do it. Right? You feel like you can sing, and maybe you can sing really good, but I'm not Beyonce, so I ain't gonna do it. And so that's how I relate my fear, that I won't be the best at doing something, right? And so I hope that's relatable for kids and for adults. I fear that I will not do the best job, though I think I'm doing solid. And but it's a healthy fear. Again, like I said, I believe that's a healthy fear. And how I deal with that is I pray. Honestly, prayer brings me back to a lot of whew. And I challenge anybody that does have faith to, it's analogy, but it's also a challenge, but at least for 1 week straight, put something very valuable that you need for the next day under your bed. Put something valuable that you need for the next day under your bed that you have to grab before you leave the house. And the reason why, Because if it's under your bed, odds are you will go to your knees to get it. So before you and while you're on your knees and before you leave the house, say a simple prayer. Say a prayer. Say a prayer, God, and ask God to set the tone for your day, your attitude for your day, and to guide you and to reveal himself who he is. Just for a week. And see how you start to feel. And that's what helps me be more fearless. All right. But I'm a human and it's gonna pop up sometimes. So that is one of my fears, is not being the best for my future family.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. The second question is, you are so successful already. What motivates you to keep trying new things and working hard?
Love that question. I have succeeded in many different areas, but one of the things that keeps me motivated to continue to learn and try things is because I'm a dork. Yeah, I'm a straight nerd, dork, quirky kid that's stuck in this body that worked really hard and found myself in the position I'm in. I'm not the cool kid. Don't get it twisted. I'm not the kid that was like, oh man, Rashad, hey, Rashad's here, everybody. Hey, I wasn't that kid in high school. All right. I wasn't that kid in middle school. I wasn't the popular kid. And yes, some success has made me popular, but I don't forget who I am. I'm the nerd that asks too many questions, that's exploring life, that plays instruments, dances, poetry, archery. I burn candles. Like, I'm that dude. And so I don't allow myself to try to fit any type or anybody's cultures. All right. My name is Rashad Jennings, and I'm going to live out my life. And so the things that keep me learning, because I study psychology and sociology, and I actually am right now learning to become a premarital marital counselor. And I love people and I love relationships. And I thank God. I thank God has allowed me to live on this earth to try to explore so many relationships, so many types of people and styles of learning and a wealth of life. I enjoy it. And so because I'm just intrigued to know the origin of things, who made the first school ever, who built Winn-Dixie, why is Wells Fargo named Wells Fargo? Why? I'm the why kid. And so now with this internet thing available with so many answers, that's what inspires me to keep learning. I want to give back to my family as much knowledge as I can.
Okay. I love that you said, I am Rashad Jennings. So just being who you are and who you were created to be. So that's a really great takeaway, Monarch scholars, any other students or children that are on the screen tonight. That is a great takeaway, to just walk in who you are. Remember, we talked about, Mr. Jennings, we talked about uniqueness back in September during some of our social justice lessons. And we talked about how we are all made differently, not just the color of our skin, but just even our character, what we enjoy, our hobbies, our personalities. And it's those differences that make our world unique and special. And it's important for us to all tap in and actually be who we were created to be. It's like a salad bowl. If I'm making a salad and I put all lettuce in it, what a boring salad. But if I make a salad and I put some tomatoes and some cranberries and a little cheese, everybody is fulfilling their part in the salad, which makes it yummy. Okay. So that's what makes life yummy, guys. Okay. Be who you are. Listen to what Mr. Jennings just said. He said, I am Rashad Jennings. He didn't say anybody else's name. He didn't say he was trying to be like anybody else. He uses people to inspire him and to push him, but he is who he was created to be. So I want you guys to take that piece away. If you didn't write it down already, write it down. Okay. So that segments us right into our next slide, Miss Ratasha.
And before we go, as I would say, she's going into that slide. I like to
Mhm.
say this to everyone listening. Another thing that I've always kind of held to me, and I've explored this more the older I got. Don't allow anybody to define you. Hear this out all the way through. Don't allow anybody to define you, because if you allow them to, they will. And when they do, you will find yourself trying to live out their definition for approval. until you find maturity to realize that ain't even what I want. Don't let nobody define you, because you will find yourself living out your life to fit their criteria until you mature and realize that ain't what I even want. So continue to do the right things. Now that doesn't mean be ugly and I'm me. I'm gonna just do me. I ain't work. No, no, no. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, as you're finding yourself respectfully, you don't have to do as the popularity. It's okay to be what seems different. It's actually, as Miss Johnson said, a beautiful thing for the salad.
Exactly. Thank you so much. So, segmenting right into our next slide, there is a statement that needs to be completed. Remember, this is our culminating I Am series, the series finale. Okay. So, I want you guys to listen to this. I want Mr. Jennings to basically complete this sentence. I am Rashad Jennings, and my legacy of hope to each of you is. Could you complete that for us?
Mhm. I am Rashad Jennings, and my legacy of hope to each of you is that you find the best version of what you were intended for.
Thank you so, so, so much. Boys and girls, Monarch Annapolis scholars, if you came with your cousin and your brother or your sister, and they're not a Monarch Academy Annapolis scholar yet, okay, I want to make sure that you guys are walking away inspired and you were able to connect with Mr. Jennings. He gave us some really, really great nuggets of knowledge and some information just by sharing who he was. Okay. Remember, our entire I Am series was created so that you guys could remember to connect to prominent African American figures in the past and in the present. Because guess what? You are those prominent African American figures and Americans for the future. Okay. Doesn't matter what your cultural background is, you have a purpose that you were set here on earth to fulfill. We are super, super excited. I know that I am as your school counselor. I know that Mr. Turner is, Miss Ratasha. I know Miss Snap's on the line, Miss who else? Miss Coyle, all of your teachers and leaders. Mr. Johnson's here and your family. We are here to support you because we can't wait to see the great things that you will continue to do. So tonight was just another little seed, another little nugget of information to give you to push you towards your greatness. So we want to first thank Mr. Rashad Jennings for being our special guest tonight. And if you guys choose to, you can write in the chat if you have a special thank you to him. That would be great. He can see it. And then we also want to make sure that we kind of move in so we can hear from Mr. Johnson. I think Mr. Johnson is still on the line. Am I right?
Hey,
Yes, you're right.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Jennings. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Jennings has one more thing.
yeah, no, yes, ma'am. I just I was popping back in. Again, I want to say thank y'all so very much. Yeah, I know you guys asked me to be here and hope to inspire, but seeing you guys do this inspires me. It's a reminder, as I told Brandon, these things remind me to continue to go, to see so many people dedicate their time to the future through these kids. This is solution oriented. So I'm glad to be a part of it, and leaving a legacy is something major to me. And one of the reasons why I'm proud of it is because a birdie told me that at Monarch, there's a lot of people that are about legacy, and that there's some special people at Legacy. I mean, with the legacy mindset, and life is worth mimicking, is to be followed. And so I'm glad to help recognize some of the beautiful people and faces that I see here in celebration.
Yes, yes, Mr. Jennings. We appreciate you joining us tonight. Part of Black history that makes it so special is we get an opportunity to celebrate people in our history, but it's also a month for us to celebrate people that continue to have an impact on our future. And today, the Monarch family wanted to pay a special tribute to one of our own, Miss Nikki Johnson. So, Miss Ratasha, if you don't mind, please play the video.
I'm Nikki Johnson.
I'm Nikki Johnson.
I'm Nikki Johnson.
We are Nikki Johnson.
I think Nikki is very dedicated. She definitely has a heart for children and helping children.
What an honor it is to speak in celebration of you, Mrs. Johnson. You are truly an inspiration to all around you. Children, the adults, the community can see the compassion and love in your heart that you have for children, and you always put them first. And we, as adults, we need that reminder, and you are always there to remind us that it's children first.
Nikki is simply the best. She is the most caring, compassionate person I know. She'll do anything possible to make sure that parents and children are taken care of, as well as community members.
She is the kindest person you'll ever meet. It felt like I could see a ray of sunshine behind her.
As a counselor, I think Mrs. Johnson is second to none. If all educators approach their jobs with both the professionalism and kindness Mrs. Johnson does, we'd probably have the best educational system in the entire world.
She always talks about educating from the heart, and if you spend any time with Nikki, you'll hear that come out.
I know her to go above and beyond the call of duty as a school counselor. I know a lot of people look to her for support and how she can help them support students.
She helps me with my schoolwork to be a better student. She helps kids. She helps them solve their issues or problems and gives them strategies.
I felt comfortable talking to her about anything, and she helped me get through the year at Monarch Academy in Annapolis. Miss Johnson she was more of a friend to me than a teacher. Miss Johnson always put a smile on everybody's faces, and she was one of the best counselors I ever had.
We got to know each other a lot. She was very kind the first time I met her, and it just seemed like we had a good connection throughout the whole year.
She was really nice, and it was easy to get to know her.
As an African American educator, I think it is so important that children are able to be taught by and be surrounded by a diverse group of people, which means that they need to have people around them, adults in their lives who look like them, who can influence them and encourage them to set their goals and reach their goals.
As an African American leader, she is an important role model for all students, but it is especially important for Black students to be able to see her as their future.
I think you're more comfortable expressing some of your feelings to people that look like you. So I think it's really important that African Americans see not only Nikki in the building, but other African Americans in our schools so they can feel as comfortable as everyone else.
What you instill in these kids is beyond words. What you do for the staff, for the community, is beyond words. Your whole heart. You are such an exceptional educator. Schools need you. Children need you. We need Nikki Johnsons to help mold the future. And I am very grateful that I was a part of that with you. I love you so much. You are a great, amazing woman. We honor you today and every other day.
It's endless, the impact that she's had. It's gonna be lifelong for all of the students that she's had the ability to impact and influence in her tenure as a guidance counselor and as a teacher.
I feel fortunate to call you my colleague. I am fortunate to call you my friend. Mrs. Johnson, Nikki, you are truly a role model for all.
Miss Johnson helped me navigate through elementary school bullying.
Miss Johnson always had a listening ear when I needed it.
Miss Johnson was a perfect advocate for our family in 2 elementary schools. And that's why we say,
Thank you, Mrs.
Johnson. We love you.
Bye. I am Nikki Johnson.
I am Nikki Johnson.
I am Nikki Johnson. Enjoy this time, Nikki. You deserve it. You celebrate so many people and you're there for so many people. So take this opportunity and just let everyone love on you. And thank you for being the awesome person that you are.
So Nikki, you
I'm
kept
going to
asking me,
kill you guys. Students,
kept
don't
asking me,
listen to Miss Johnson. Brandon, I'm going to kill you.
you kept asking me, Brandon, why do you have me hosting this event? And the reason why is because we wanted to celebrate you today. This is something that a lot of people have been keeping secret for a month now. And I appreciate all of the people that worked on this project. It was important for us. It was important for me as a young Black male that's getting into education for the first time. You have been somebody that I can look to as an aunt, somebody that I can ask questions, somebody that I can call and talk to, somebody that I know is praying for me, even when I don't ask for it. So I appreciate you. I didn't feel like I was worthy enough to be on the video, but I did want to say I appreciate you. So Miss Ratasha, I think we got something else for Miss Johnson.
We do. And so, yes, Nikki, oh my goodness, I've been holding this in for a while. I just want to also thank you, Miss Moni. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Layla. Thank you. There's so many more videos that I'm actually going to be sending to you after this that we couldn't even get into the final video, because that's how many of us just really wanted to share how much we, Lord, how much we love you, how much we honor you, how much we're so grateful that you are a Black, strong leader for us and for our children every single day. And so we're so thankful to honor you today. And so Kelly and the girls have a very special gift for you.
They just came upstairs to bring it to me. Am I supposed to open it now?
Yep, you can
open it. Okay. All righty.
Perfecto, ábrelo.
Okay. All righty.
Be careful.
Okay, I'll be careful.
Be careful.
Okay. Oh,
You got a chucky.
thank you, God. It says Nikki Johnson, Black History Month Celebration 2021. Thank you for your commitment to putting kids first. Thank you. I don't think you guys truly understand how much I enjoy what I do every single day. And I appreciate you taking time to honor me, to surprise me, because I'm normally the nosy one. So I usually know everything. So I'm really shocked that Kaden didn't tell me everything. Katie. Okay, but I appreciate it. I don't do it for any type of recognition, because I don't know if you guys know this, but it feels so good inside of me when I go to bed every single night to know, sort of like what Rashad Jennings just shared, like just to know that I seeded something positive into somebody else's life. It is a privilege, literally a privilege, to service your kids on this screen. It is a privilege to be paid for the gift that God gave you. That is a privilege. I do what I enjoy every single day because I want to do it. And so I thank you. Thank you. I don't even really know what to say. Brandon and Ratasha, I'm going to get you. And I am really going to get my mother, Moni, for sending those pictures of me pregnant and all of that, because she has no good pictures at home. But I really, really appreciate, like, you have literally made my day, and it has encouraged me so much. So to all of my Monarch scholars on the screen, I can't see every single person, but I just wanted to say thank you. And you guys got me really good. Like,
So, Nikki,
I don't cry like this on screen.
I'm gonna say in Spanish right now, we love you. Te queremos mucho, de verdad.
Thank you so much.
Nos ayudas a todos de nosotros de verdad y eres lo mejor. Muchas gracias por todo lo que haces por nosotros. Honestly, I'm not even gonna interpret that part.
You're not gonna interpret that part?
No, I'm not, because we have so many families that actually do call me and tell me how much they appreciate you. En serio, muchas gracias por todo, Nikki.
I appreciate it.
Fíjate.
All I could do is say thank you. Like, that literally is all I can do, is just say thank you. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate it. And I love, love, love my plaque. It's beautiful. And I love that I can look across this screen and see so many great people, great educators who have taught me a lot of things and who I look up to as well. So just thank you. And thank you to my students. Alrighty. If I could hug you guys, I would, but you know, it's social distance. I can't hug you. So, but I appreciate everything that you guys do. So thank you, Mr. Turner.
You're welcome. Your tears are enough.
Oh my goodness.
Like I said, we really wanted to make this special for you. Rashad, thanks for joining us today. For anyone that don't know, that's like a brother to me. We met each other in college where we played football at Liberty University, and we've developed a brotherhood since. So thank you. Thank you again for joining us. The message today that you shared with our scholars was very important, especially as we're hopefully on the back end of this pandemic and we start to return to school. I hope that our students can take away a little bit of this and apply it as they go back into the school buildings and as they continue to, blossom into the butterfly that we know that they can be. So we want to finish the event. So the next thing we want to do is we want to hear from our amazing assistant principal, Mr. Shay Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you, Mr. Jennings, for the wonderful, wonderful, encouraging words, man. Awesome for adults and students. You got me over here ready to go. So thank you for that. What a wonderful night for Monarch. I mean, listen, like awesome, awesome night. Way to get a good night started before we start back to school March 1st. And I'm so excited that the students will be back on Monday. So what a way to kick it off, Nikki. I love you. I am grateful that my educational path and my life path has crossed you. So I'm thankful for you. Again, what a great night. And I just want to say thank you again to everyone who showed up on a Friday night because it just shows that we care about our community. When you take time to come out and talk about awesome encouraging things that's going to help it's going to be for the betterment of our students, then that means that we're on a great path to be successful here at Monarch. And with all the wonderful things that's going on, we will continue to push forward. So Mr. Jennings, we ask you, please do not be a stranger. Please let us know again, and Nikki and Brandon, and let us know so we can support you with your books. I definitely know that I'm going to grab them, and we will make sure that we continue to support you as you have supported us over the last year and this year. So we're thankful. But again, Nikki, I just want to say we're so thankful that you're a part of our community. We're looking forward for even better things. So as we get ready to push forward for the rest of this school year, we know that you're energetic and excited about it. And our kids are coming back, so we're all excited about that. And I'll just leave you all with this. I, Shay Johnson, am thankful to be a part of Monarch Annapolis. So as we continue to grow, I want to grow with the community and grow with everybody. So thank you for a wonderful, wonderful night. And we look forward to doing it again. These community events are going to be memorable, and we will continue to grow from them. So again, thank you to everyone, and we hope to see everybody soon.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. So as we close tonight, I would like to let everyone know that we are still accepting applications at all of our Monarchs. Tonight, we are representing Monarch Academy Annapolis. If you have any questions about the application process or the registration process, please contact me directly. My email address is turnerb@childrensguild.org, and my direct number is 443-678-3407. So again, if you have any questions about the application process or how to register at any of our Monarchs, please reach out to me. We will have more community events. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We're getting better at this virtual environment, even though we're starting to open up, return back to school. We're starting to get a hang of this virtual environment. If you came to an event at the beginning, we were clueless on how to operate in this space, and now we've grown in that capacity. So the events will continue to come this spring, going into the summertime as we get ready for the 21-22 school year. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Rashad, for joining us. Miss Nikki Johnson, we love you. I hope everyone have a blessed night. Good night.
Bye, everybody.